Laker fans, how we doing? My name is Sammy Long here with Hoopstock. Tonight we're getting into a little Lakers Timberwolves preview for tomorrow night. I'm gonna get into three things today: Minnesota's strengths and weaknesses, what they do well, what they don't do well. We're getting how the Lakers are finding ways to win games. I mean, no matter what it needs to be, if it's an offensive shootout, if it's a defensive slugfest, they're really just finding ways to do it, and it's really encouraging as the playoffs are really right upon us. And then we're talking about how the Lakers are up to the eighth seed in the Western Conference. Things are only looking up. All these teams got to play each other, and the Lakers just keep stacking wins. So we're going to get into that. I had to break out the Laker hoodie. That's what happens when you beat the Cavs. A really good team vying to move up in the standings, the Eastern Conference. Come into your home on a Saturday game and cut the lead down in the middle of the game. And towards the end, you're like, oh, the Lakers going to let one slip away. And they don't. They keep it going. So had to break out the hoodie today. Minnesota strengths and weaknesses. This is a great team. I mean, they're a team vying for number one in the Western Conference. They're number two right now. They're right behind the Nuggets, a half game. I mean, it really starts and stops with Anthony Edwards. He's an amazing player. I mean, if I was doing a draft of anyone in the NBA and I was starting a franchise, I'd probably take Anthony Edwards one. I mean, there's a lot of guys in the league that are great offensive players and they're super skilled and things like that. But rarely do you find nowadays a great two-way player. And that's really what separates, I think, when people get in the arguments of is he a one on a team, or is he a two or a three? You know, you have a lot of guys that go, you can drop 50 any night, but their plus minus is terrible. Anthony Edwards is just a guy that he's a great defender, great offensive player. I would take him number one overall if I was picking a team. So it really kind of starts with him. But, you know, this is a team that has a lot of depth to it. I mean, obviously, the Karl-Anthony Towns injury right now has been tough for them to get over. And they don't know if he's going to be back for the playoffs or what's up with that. They're kind of coy about it. But they still have a very good roster. Rudy Gobert will be back for this game. He did not play in the Lakers' last game. So some of the team stats are a little in the middle of the pack. They've dealt with some injuries, but they're doing something right because they're vying for the number one seed in the Western Conference. They come in around 112.8 points per game, which is about 18th overall. They rebound at a rate 44 rebounds per game, 14th overall. And then they're 15th overall in assists with around 27 a game. So kind of hang in the middle of the pack. They do shoot pretty efficiently, shoot almost 49% from the field. So, I mean, just a well-rounded team. Some of those numbers would be higher if Karl-Anthony Towns hadn't missed the last little while here. Naz Reid is a guy I look out for tomorrow. You know, he stepped in really nicely for Karl-Anthony Towns, kind of because they like to. The Wolves are an interesting team because they really play a little more traditional with, you know, trying to have Karl-Anthony Towns on the floor and Gobert. Not a lot of teams do that, having the two bigs on the floor, because you worry about getting kind of stretched out in three-point shooting teams. But, you know, the other side of that is you can rebound very well in your inside game. Not a lot of teams have multiple guys to defend two guys on the floor that are that big. But obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns is not here for this game. Naz Reid steps in. He's a very good player. He actually had 25 in the last time out against the Lakers. So it was no one really knew how he was going to play without Karl-Anthony Towns come off the bench, but he stepped in well. So another, you know, AD dominated today. Love to see it against Mobley and Jared Allen. Now you get a chance to do it against two other big men in Gobert and Reed. So love to keep seeing AD playing the way he's playing. He's playing out of his mind. Just the whole team is really clicking, and it's exciting to see. It's super fun to see. And a couple other players to look out for on the bench. They do have a nice bench. They go pretty deep on their bench, like 10 to 12. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, very nice player, as well as Kyle Anderson, add some size there at the forward spot. So they're a deep team, even though they have had some injuries. So the Lakers will, again, need to bring it like they did today. But today was going into my next point of finding ways to win no matter how. Today was a trap game for me, in not the sense that it was the first of a back-to-back, but that, you know, you come off a 5-1 road trip. Things are looking great. You finally get some help in the standings. And this is where you kind of get to see what teams are made of. Are they coasting? Do they have the ability to kind of refocus after, you know, it's easy when you're playing the Raptors and the Wizards and Memphis, maybe not bring your A game, you know, because you don't need to, because you're just a more talented team. You have a Cavs team coming to town that came to town today. Very good team. High in the Western or Eastern Conference. I mean, star players, Donovan Mitchell, as I mentioned, Mobley, Jared Allen. I mean, it's a very good team that's fighting for a playoff spot. So that was easy to look ahead, go, you got the Timberwolves tomorrow, coming off a longer break. What's going to happen? They come out firing. They look great. And what I loved about this game is that, again, we saw the opposing team cut the lead in the third and fourth quarter, the third quarter at the end of the third quarter in this case, to where it was tied. It was tied at 67, I believe. This happened in the Memphis game. They didn't cut it all the way to where it was tied, but they cut it down to 8. This happened in the Raptors game where they cut it down to 7. Also, the Wizards made a little run, and the Lakers were able to withstand it. And a lot of that, it gets chalked up to, I think people were like, yeah, it's great. It shows you have some heart, but those teams are bad. There's a reason they're bad, and when they get the lead or they get close, they don't know what to do with it because they don't really have too many shot makers and guys that really can just take over a game. The Cavs do. So I turned to the people I was watching with my family, and I was like, "This when they tied at 67, this is what we're going to see what the Lakers are made of, because this is a good team. If the Lakers didn't start bringing it after that, the Cavs could have won by 15. I mean, this is not a team that's going to shoot themselves in the foot with silly mistakes, turning the ball over. They got guys who can score. But what did the Lakers do? Right when it got that, they got the Rui dunk, and it just called a timeout. I thought Ham did well in the timeouts today. I've been very critical of him before with that. But really kind of whenever there was a little mini run, took a timeout. So I got to give him some flowers. And then they really just refocused after that timeout. It never really looked back in that game. And it just never felt that close after that. And really never allowed them to get back in the game. And that's what I want to see. They pitch a great defensive battle today, only giving up 97. You win a couple high shootouts on the road trip. I mean, you beat the Bucks, you beat the Celtics earlier this year without 2 of your best players. You can win with your best players. They're finding ways to win. D'Angelo Russell went absolutely off tonight. Unbelievable, 28 points. I love watching D'Lo. I mean, he's just I think he's all of our favorites. He's just amazing. And it's so cool to see him doing well after so many of the fans and fan base and really NBA and the league just wrote him off and was kind of like done with him after the Nuggets series. It's just cool to see him really kind of showing like, no, living up to that number 2 overall draft pick status. Another guy today, Taurean Prince. I mean, I've been, again, highly critical of the bench. They really have not brought it in a lot of games this year. Taurean Prince at 18 points. I mean, that is exactly what you want from Taurean Prince, a guy who is a scoring threat off the bench. I mean, the Laker broadcast today was like, at one point, should we just run the offense to Taurean Prince? He was looking like LeBron out there for a couple of minutes. I mean, he was the only guy scoring when the Cavs got it close and everything. And that's what you need. It can't always be the starters. The starters can carry a lot of the load, but they can't do everything. And they do need some help, and they do need some rest time. And they're able to get the guys rest when Taurean's playing well. And Dinwiddie had 6 points today, so you'd like to see some more there. Hayes went 2 for 2. I'd like to see Max Christie get more minutes, but that's just me personally. They didn't need it today, but I think he kind of showed what he can do in the Raptor game. But just to tie it all in, I mean, they're just finding ways to win games. And that's a sign of a team that can go on the road, play with whoever. They've beaten great teams this year, and they don't need to win a certain way. The Warriors, for example, have to win a certain way. They need to shoot the lights out and outscore you. That's what they have to do. The Lakers can play bully ball. They want to go inside. They want to get in a physical matchup. And a big question earlier this year was, can they win a three-point game? And the Lakers are hitting threes nonstop recently and have multiple outside scoring threats. D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Taurean Prince now. Gabe Vincent, you're thinking he's still getting back in a rhythm. I'm not worried that he didn't scratch. He brings the defensive intensity. He'll get his shot back and stuff like that. The Lakers got scores, and that's what they've been really missing, I think, the last couple of years. And so it's really exciting, which leads me to my next point. They're up to the 8th seed. It's what we asked for, not being in the 9 or 10. Get up out of the second playing game. Give yourself 2 cracks at it. The Lakers are at the 8 now. I think they can move to the 7. They could move to the 6. That's going to be a little tougher because you need Phoenix to go on a little nosedive, and they really seem to be playing well recently with wins over the Timberwolves, and just they look really good, and Booker and all them are clicking on all the levels. But I also want to admit, this is a team that they need their 3 stars. Their 3 stars to play really well to win. As I mentioned, they have to win a certain way. They have to have their 3 guys go absolutely off in every single game. That doesn't normally work in the playoffs. You need a supporting cast. Look at the Nuggets last year. KCP, Bruce Brown, guys like that were really some of the unsung heroes in that, and they won a title. So I don't totally believe in the Suns, but back to where the Lakers are. Lakers are number 8. Pelicans right in front of them. They're a half game back. the Suns play the Pelicans tomorrow. So we're going to be rooting for the Suns. What we'd love to see is a triple overtime game where all their legs get all tired and maybe carries into losses next week. But probably because the Pelicans, no Brandon Ingram, no Zion, kind of in a free fall. They look like the easier team to catch. The Lakers have a tiebreaker against them. So I would probably be rooting for Phoenix tomorrow. And then if the Lakers win, they're going to be in the 7. So which is going to be great. They're a half game up on the Kings, who are right there. They have a bit of a tough schedule. They got an easier one tomorrow, and they're playing Brooklyn. They got a few tough games coming up, and they're 2.5 games up on the Warriors. So obviously, if the Nets could do us a favor and beat the Kings, would be unbelievable. Hoping for Suns to beat the Pelicans, and it's a Laker W. And the Lakers are only at 1.5 games back of the Suns, and the Suns still do have the toughest remaining schedule. They got a back-to-back with the Clippers. Kawhi's probably not going to play, so maybe lowers that down a little bit. But they still got a couple tough games to go. I believe they play the T-Wolves again. So they're not out of question to get up to the 6, which would be all I'm saying for the rest of the NBA. Don't let this team get the 6th seed. If they get to the 6th seed and they don't have to worry about playing, they get a few extra days off. I don't know, man. They could go pretty far. And it's exciting. It's the best time of year. And hopefully the Lakers really carry today's momentum into tomorrow. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Check out the post-game show tomorrow with Alan. I'm going to be doing the comments in the background, so send it through. It will get read. And thank you guys. Go Lakers.